Louing and beloved brother, I do now like some that have an orchard ill-neighbored, that gather their fruit before it is ripe, to preeuent stealing. These fragments of my conceits were going to print. To labor the stay of them had been troublesome, and subject to interpretation. To let them pass had been to adventure the wrong they mought reçue by ventrue copies, or by some garnishment, which it mought please any that should set them forth to bestow upon them. Therefore I held it best as they passed long ago from my pen, without any further disgrace than the weakness of the author. And as I did you hold, there mought be as great a vanity in retiring and withdrawing men's conceits, except they be of some nature, from the world, as in obtruding them. So in these particulars I played myself the inquisitor, and find nothing to my understanding in them contrary or infectious to the state of religion or manners, but rather, as I suppose, medicinable. Only I dislike now to put them out, because they will be like the late new halfpence, which, though the silure were good, yet the pieces were small. But since they would not stay with their master, but would needs travail abroad, I preferred them to you that are next myself, dedicating them, such as they are, to our Lou, in the depth whereof, I assure you, I sometimes wish your infirmities translated vipon myself, that her majesty mought howie the ceruis of so actu and able a mind, and I mought be with excuse confined to these contemplations and studies for which I am fittest. So commend I you to the preservation of the Diowene majesty, from my chamber at Gray's Inn, this 30 of January, 1597. Your entire Lewing brother, Fran Bacon. The essays, which are 10 in number, abound with condensed thought and practical wisdom, neatly, pressly, and weightily stated, and like all his early works, are simple without imagery. They are written in his favorite style of aphorisms, although each essay is apparently a continued work, and without that love of antithesis and false glitter to which truth and justness of thought are frequently sacrificed by the writers of maxims. A second edition, with a translation of the Meditationes Sacrae, was published in the next year, and another edition enlarged in 1612, when he was Solicitor General, containing 38 essays, and one still more enlarged in 1625, containing 58 essays, the year before his death. The essays in the subsequent editions are much augmented, according to his own words. I always alter when I add, so that nothing is finished till all is finished, and they are adorned by happy and familiar illustration, as in the essay of Wisdom for a Man's Self, which concludes in the edition of 1625, with Thexai following extract, not to be found in the previous edition. Wisdom for a man's self is, in many branches thereof, a depraved thing. It is the wisdom of rats, that will be sure to leave a house somewhat before it fall. It is the wisdom of the fox, that thrusts out the badger, who digged and made room for him. It is the wisdom of crocodiles that shed tears when they would devour. But that which is specially to be noted is that those which, as Cicero says of Pompey, are sui amantes sine rivali, are many times unfortunate. And whereas they have all their time sacrificed to themselves, they become in the end themselves sacrifices to the inconstancy of fortune, whose wings they thought, by their self-wisdom, to have pinioned. So, in the essay upon adversity, on which he had deeply reflected before the edition of 1625, when it first appeared, he says, "The virtue of prosperity is temperance. The virtue of adversity is fortitude, which in morals is the more heroical virtue. Prosperity is the blessing of the Old Testament, adversity is the blessing of the New, which carrieth the great benediction and the clearer revelation of God's favor. Yet, even in the Old Testament, if you listen to David's harp, you shall hear as many hearse-like airs as carols, and the pencil of the Holy Ghost hath labored more in describing the afflictions of Job than the felicities of Solomon. Prosperity is not without many fears and distastes, and adversity is not without comforts and hopes. We see in needleworks and embroideries, it is more pleasing to have a lively work upon a sad and solemn ground than to have a dark and melancholy work upon a lightsome ground. Judge, therefore, of thexive pleasure of the heart by the pleasure of the eye. Certainly virtue is like precious odors, most fragrant when they are incensed or crushed. For prosperity doth best discover vice, but adversity doth best discover virtue.